Good evening, and welcome to Look Behind You, where we talk about the strange and unusual. I'm Ramen Cat, and with me tonight is
Sir Boom
and
Wolf.
very tired Wolf, it looks like.
Yeah, I
you
just
messed up the intro.
I did,
Why?
cause that's what I do.
It sounded fine to me.
No, it's supposed to be the supernatural, the paranormal, and everything
I wasn't
in
going
between.
for a signature thing. I was
Why?
just. I don't
it's
know.
our thing.
We do that at the ending.
No, we say look behind you.
Yeah. I'm tired.
Anyways, now that I'm disappointed and depressed and all that fun stuff.
You weren't already?
Well, I was happy. Now I'm not. Thanks.
Says the smirk. Alright, so tonight we will be talking about fitting for this cold weather that is slowly creeping into our bones, the Yeti.
Yes, this is part 2 of our exploring the history and lore of the Bigfoot.
Yes.
The big Bigfoot.
Some of you might be wondering what the heck the abominable snowman has to do with the Bigfoot, and we will explain that later.
Yes. I guess for anyone that may have never listened to that, we decided on doing this as a very broad, overreaching, continuous project of doing this, and
That was a lot of words all at once.
it was a lot of words all at once. I forgot where I was going with that.
I don't know.
We're doing a multi-series.
We're doing a multi-series.
Not
You screwed up my
multi-series?
intro, and I screwed up your speech.
We're just
We're
doing a
even now.
series.
Revenge. But no, we're trying to cover the history of Bigfoot or Bigfoot like creatures like wild men and things like that. Sasquatches.
Yetis.
Just from all over the world. And the abominable snowman or the Tibetan Yeti is just yet another key piece in that great sized project. That Bigfoot sized project.
I thought you were going to go there. If you didn't go there, I was going to go there.
All right, so, boom. What is a Yeti?
It's a big furry thing.
Enough said.
I'm
Good
sure-
night.
Show's over. Bye, guys.
I'm sure most people know what, like, the basically Hollywood depiction of a Yeti is, but just in case they don't.
Well, the Yeti, or the abominable snowman, holy mackerel, I actually said it right for once, is a large, some people say ape resembling like creature that is said to live in the Himalayan mountains mainly. It has been sighted in other mountain regions, but its origins and kind of original folklore focus on the Himalayan mountains.
Yes. I think
yeah.
a good chunk of that was due to just some of the beliefs and stuff there, but...
Yep. The Tibetan and the Buddhist, I believe, Buddhist beliefs kind of focused on some of the lore of it.
Yep. So yeah, usually the depiction of it is a very large, like you said, bulky humanoid creature, ape-like.
Yep.
And is usually covered in brown or like a ruddy red colored fur. The white fur actually that most people know as was popularized by the Christmas movie Rudolph.
Yep.
Which is kind of disappointing.
Well, a lot of people do say it has like a grayish fur to kind of blend in with the snow.
Yeah. Yep. Well, and that would make sense for a creature that lives in the mountains to have that wide range of fur colors because depending on where they're from, in that area would help for survival.
They also say its face is white and the fur is like brown.
Okay. So kind of like, what's that one monkey that is like that?
Yeah.
A gibbon.
Yep.
Gibbons are kind of like that.
I don't know what the heck a gibbon is. But
A monkey.
They are a really cool monkey. You should look them up.
Okay. A lot of people say the I was gonna say Bigfoot. The Yeti has large, sharp teeth, somewhat like tusks, kind of that protrude from the mouth. So if anybody's ever seen any fantasy thing whatsoever, kind of think of like an ogre or something like that.
Kind of, yep. In all of these appearances, really at the core of it, I would think, really are pretty much as far as the Yeti and Bigfoot and Sasquatch and stuff goes. That's about their connecting features, really. They're ape-like creature, large in stature, although I did hear that Sasquatches are supposed to be bigger than Yetis. I thought it was the other way around. But although after seeing our one friend, after he got back from a month-long trip in the mountains, I understand why it would be smaller. Compression is weird.
Yeah. Gravity is weird.
Gravity is so weird. But that's mainly, I think, the connecting things and why people think that the Yeti and Bigfoot could be related in some way is just the fact of they are ape-like creatures that walk upright without issue compared to, like, say, like a gorilla if they try to walk upright.
Now, actually, I can't find it on the references we have, but I did hear that some of the Yetis actually walked on 4 legs.
Yes, actually, thank you for reminding me of that. There is believed in some things, and it was kind of a vague thing, like you said, it's kind of hard to find. But I remember running across that where they believed certain variants of Yetis, like lower region on the mountains, like below the snow line and stuff, walked more bipedal.
Yep.
Where ones that lived higher altitude were larger and tended to walk on all 4s.
Yeah, okay. I believe in Tibetan lore or Buddhist lore or myth. I don't know. What would you say it would be?
I would think probably lore.
Lore. There was like 3 types of Yetis.
Yep.
Like you had, like you were saying, there was some way up in the mountains, some lower, and like there was the ones that walked on 2 legs, and then you had the one that walked on 4.
Yep. And we'll get a little bit more into that later on of like the thing of like
the different kinds.
The different kinds and the fact that they are actually a key piece to the religions of that region.
Right.
They are surprisingly very ingrained into it, which I found fascinating because up until doing research for this, I did not know that. I thought that the people that lived there were just like, yeah, there's Yetis there, and that was the end of it.
So that's the description of the Yeti. A cool fact about the Yeti for like the name itself is the word Yeti is derived from the Tibetan dialect. So which basically refers to 2 words being put together, which I believe is Wili, which basically sums up to rocky or rocky place, and then Zaipi or Zaichi, which also translates to bear. So basically altogether it translates to rocky bear or rocky place bear.
Yep. And then there is also the I'm probably gonna butcher this, the Mito Kangmi.
Yep.
Which means man bear snowman, which is like a dual thing there, or I guess we could translate it as snow bear man. And actually, interesting thing about that, where the abominable snowman name came from, was in 1921. There was a man named Henry Newman, a journalist who he knew Tibetan, but he misunderstood some translation, and he thought they were saying filthy snowman.
Right.
So a good translation for that at the time of that, filthy, abominable. Abominable means filthy.
Yep.
So abominable snowman literally means filthy snowman.
Right. So we have the original Tibetan, which is Michi, which basically means man bear. We have Duzta, which refers to cattle bear. We have Migoi or Mi-go, which kind of translates to wild men. We have Bun Manchi, which is Nepali for jungle men. And then, of course, Yeti, we have Merka, which is another name known for wild men. We have King Ottomi, which refers to snowmen. And then this is the Chinese one, so this is the one I'm going to mess up the most. It's Xzuren.
I think that would be Zirin or Zhaoren.
Zhaoren, which refers to as snowmen. So that's kind of all the different names for like the different dialects and stuff of that region.
Right, where this is one thing that's really interesting about the Yeti too. Not to diverge off the path now, but just with the names, is how much contact with Asia that this creature supposedly had.
Well, if you think about it, Asia, the what we refer to as Asia is quite large.
Oh, it's massive.
But everything's kind of put together pretty like tightly knit.
Yeah.
So like if there's something that is referring to in one area, it's usually going to affect a couple different regions.
Yeah, and I mean, granted, probably a lot of the names and stuff were things that traveled on with travelers and stuff that heard about or seen.
Yep.
Yetis.
You also got to think with the Himalayas, which is where most of these stories come out from. The countries that are circling it or in it is India, Nepal, China, and Bhutan.
Right.
Yeah, it covers a very large swath.
Yeah.
I mean, it is the biggest mountain in the world. So
Mountain range.
The mountain range in the world. And also highest mountain peak.
Yep.
Is it Mount Everest? Yeah.
Yes, I believe.
I don't know the dimensions of height of it, but it's the biggest mountain. So.
29,000 feet, I believe it is.
That's a big rock.
That doesn't seem that big, but okay.
Maybe it was in feet.
I think it's the case of if you put it in the ocean, it would still stick out of the ocean.
Really?
Yeah, because that's how they usually gauge a lot of that stuff is basically below ocean level.
If we throw it in the water, what's gonna happen?
Not much, sir.
Yeah, actually, I'm not certain on this, but that 29,000 feet, I believe is from sea level.
Well, they did find footprints on Mount Everest at about 20,000 feet above sea level.
Yeah.
That look wolf.
I'll be back in a second. I'm going to look up how big Mount because 20,000. I was reading the 29 as 19.
So, kind of snow sliding into history here.
Kaboom.
One could say that was an avalanche of a segue.
And yes, we just took a segue and went down a snowbank.
Snowbank. We basically got hit by a plow truck.
The history of the abominable snowman or Yeti can actually be found all the way back in, as we said before, the Buddhist texts and stuff.
Yes.
But along with that as well, I apologize on my terrible range of history and stuff. But I'm going back to a more notable, I guess, from an outsider to the Himalayas. In the year 326 BC, Alexander the Great, or one of the guys that conquered most of the known world at the time, when he went to Tibet, he demanded to see a Yeti. Like, once he conquered the region, he wanted to see a Yeti, and they just told him no.
Well, they couldn't get it die where he was at.
Well, they said they couldn't survive the low altitudes.
Right.
So,
which is kind of weird considering in most other things. I feel like that was more a way to kind of protect it since it's a sacred thing to them.
Yes.
Because of the fact of Yetis are found in all regions of
I could see
the
that.
region. Yeah, I could too. It is one thing kind of notable. The behavior of Yetis in legends kind of goes all over the place. Some are aggressive. Most depictions, they're fairly docile.
Yeah.
Which, again, leads into some of the old legends about them and stuff, of them being fairly peaceful and helpful even.
Yeah. Well, you don't hear too much of Yetis killing people.
Right.
There's only one report of possibly a Yeti killing people, which would be the Russian hikers that were supposedly one of like the 50 billion reasons they all died was a Yeti attacking
the Dyatlov Pass.
The Dyatlov Pass.
Yep.
Pass, yeah.
Which, that That's a different mountain range, right?
That's a whole different thing. But that's the only theory of a Yeti actually killing somebody that I know of.
Yeah, not Hollywood depictions of Yetis have them as these giant, brutish, aggressive creatures, and we can think 50s.
Or one with a toothache.
Or one with, yes. One with
or just lovable bear type things.
Yes. So, as I said before, in 1921, a journalist named Henry Newman interviewed a group of British explorers who had returned from Mount Everest.
Mm-hmm.
And when they told him about it, they told him the name of it was some of the original names, and he was the one that kind of, in a sense, without making it sound bad, because I'm not trying to kind of mutilate the name of it.
Well, he
Englishnized, I guess.
I want to say Americanized, but no, as Englishnized.
He messed up translation a little.
He messed up translation and put the best words possible to the
He
name.
also newspaperized it to make it sound cooler.
Yes, because Filthy Snowman doesn't sound as cool in the headlines as the Abominable Snowman.
I don't know. In this day and age, Filthy Snowman would get better clicks than Abominable Snowman.
It would.
Yeah.
It would. Now, keep in mind with history points, there are several history points in between, and I believe Wolf might even have a bit of one. But some of the ones I have are like in March 1986.
Yep.
Granted, in between the time of 1921 and 86, there was a lot of hunts for Yetis.
Right. Well, you're kind of missing one of the first recorded things of it, which is according to H. Siger, the Yeti was part of a pre-Buddhist belief of several Himalayan people. He was told that the Lapcha people worshipped a glacier being as a god of the hunt, and also reported that followers of the Bon religion once believed the blood of the Miragog, or wild men, had used in a certain spiritual ceremony. The being was depicted as an ape-like creature who carries a large stone as a weapon and makes a whistling whoosh sound. And that's like one of the first tales told to a non-native
Of the Yeti.
Yeah.
That also kind of correlates with like Bigfoot with the way they sound.
Yeah.
The whistling and the kind of woof.
Yeah.
Whoosh.
The other thing with that too that I can see is also with that culture, and some of the cultures there, they depict the Yeti as like a nature spirit.
Yep.
And all of that description to me describes like an avalanche or rock slide.
Yes,
The-
exactly.
The whistling wind, the rocks
Yeah.
falling, lends to that, you know.
Yeah. So that was one of the first things. You can continue with your area. I just want to point that out before we got too far into the future. So.
Yeah, and this is kind of, I don't know, with this, we will probably backpedal to a few stories because, like I said, these are just some key ones that I had found.
Right.
So if you guys have anything, please interject it in there.
Yep.
In March of 1986, Anthony Woolridge, a hiker in the Himalayas, saw what he believed to be a Yeti standing near a snow ridge about 500 feet away, or 152 meters. I don't know meters. I just
For our
made a note of
British
that.
friends, well, actually everybody else in the world, but
Most.
Who doesn't use freedom measurements?
that doesn't use freedom units. Why do we? I get that like freedom's like the American thing, but like, is that just like what everybody calls them, basically freedom units?
I think it's just a joke.
I know
but-
it's just a joke, but like I've heard that from so many people that aren't even connected.
Yeah.
Probably.
So
It's widespread.
yeah.
He claimed that he had seen strange tracks that led to the direction of the figure and led up to it, and the figure, he took a picture of it because this figure was just motionless and stood still, like as if it was watching him. So
Right.
he took a photo of it, and when he brought it back home, they analyzed this photo, and it was authentic. They could not debunk it. In the fact of it, there was no doctoring up to
Yep.
it. So for quite a while, actually, that was used as the irrefutable proof of
the Yeti.
Bigfoot,
Right.
or Yeti.
Yeti.
I'm sorry. There's probably going to be a lot of that through this, so I apologize. If I say Bigfoot, I mean Yeti.
Mm-hmm.
But about a year after that, a team of researchers went back to that place where he's seen that, as anyone would, because, oh, hey, there's a Yeti here. We better go see if we can see it again.
Right.
And what it turned out to be was a very, very, I guess, elaborate outcropping of rocks that was shaped very humanoid in shape.
Well, that sucks.
That does suck. Unfortunately, in a lot of these stories, things like that are what happens. Not to say the Yeti doesn't exist, but there's so many things that just like badminton swing this right back to something else.
Right. Which is the problem with most cryptid type creatures.
Well, I think because of the fact of people get excited, it's an adventure, it's something new. I mean, if you were the guy that discovered the Yeti was real, you would go down in history.
Right.
Your name would be in the history books as the guy who found the Yeti.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of that gold rush fever.
Yeah. It has that rose tinted glasses of sometimes you look over what's actually there in hopes of finding something that you believe is there.
Yes. I don't have it in my notes, so I apologize on not having the year for it, but there was also a explorer who gained access to a Buddhist monastery in, I believe, Tibet or Nepal.
Okay.
One of the two. And they claim to have had the scalp and the hand.
That is Sir Edmund Hillary.
Sir Edmund Hillary. Okay. And those were believed to be things that were gifted basically to a monk when the Yeti passed away, because this monk had befriended the Yetis.
Oh, okay.
He had gone to the mountains to just be away from people so he could focus on meditation and just spiritual centering himself. And the Yetis befriended him. They brought him stuff while he was in his cave. And when they died, just to kind of honor, or when one of them died of old age or something, to kind of honor that creature and the fact of how kind it was, he took those as basically sacred relics.
Okay.
So this monastery kept those as holy relics, and when this guy came to the monastery, he stole fur samples off it, and I don't know how he did this.
Well, he was presented the scalp for conquering Mount Everest.
Was that what it was?
Yes.
Okay.
And I think he actually took some of the scalp back to have tested.
That's right. The scalp was allowed to go back with a monk accompanying it. But the hand...
And that was somewhere in between 1950 and 1953.
Right.
I can't find the exact year.
The hand, though, which they left, if I remember, they left it in the monastery, is kind of just, it was the holy thing there.
Yeah, it's still there now.
He took finger bones from it.
Yeah.
Not only did he take finger bones, but he replaced them with human finger bones, so it looked like it wasn't just... Where he got human finger bones, I don't know.
Did he still have a hand?
I don't know.
Well, I know he only had 2 toes left.
I know there's a lot.
Well, that's normal for mountain climbers.
I don't know about his hands.
I know that there's a lot of corpses on Mount Everest, so he could have just snagged a couple.
That is true, yeah. That's actually very true.
It's kind of a disturbing thing, but I don't know. To me, that was just weird. A long time later, though, when DNA testing and stuff is a thing, they found out the scalp was actually the scalp of an animal that is very close to a mountain goat. It's not a mountain goat, but I don't remember what it's called.
A goat-like Himalayan antelope.
Antelope, okay. And the bones belong to a Himalayan bear.
Yes.
Which... We'll get into that a little bit too later on about the Himalayan bears, because that's actually pretty interesting.
Around the same time, during the 50s, Sir Edmund Hillary was also sponsored by the World Book Encyclopedia Company of Chicago and departed on his famous expedition to Nepal in pursuit of the Yeti. During the expedition, he recovered a supposed Yeti scalp from Kumjung Monastery and brought it to the West for testing. Hillary explained, This is a quote from him. The sculpt was in the house of a frightening old woman, believed to be a witch in Kunjung. It had been in the possession of the village for 240 years. Unfortunately, the results indicated the sculpt was manufactured from the skin of a sorrow, a goat-like Himalayan antelope.
Yes, that's what I
Is
was
this the same story, or is it different?
I don't know, because the one I had read, a monk actually went with the item to make sure it didn't get hurt.
Okay.
So maybe there's multiple.
Just for a little context, up in like Nepal and stuff and Tibet, a lot of the monasteries and stuff have something
Yeti.
supposedly that is part of a Yeti. Like
Okay.
one of the documentaries I've watched, I forgot the name of it. I think it was a history one. They actually went in this one monastery. Supposedly it was the first Westerners to see it, but it was like a shrunken Yeti.
Right.
Like a shrunken head, but it was a shrunken Yeti.
Oh, wow.
There's, like you said, there's the hand of the Yeti. There's like the scalp. There's also been like pelts.
Which leads into the thing of they hold these things very sacred.
Yeah. One thing you'll find with looking up Yeti stuff is actual Sir Edmund Hillary, because he was one of the first people, I believe he was the first person or one of the first people to climb Mount Everest. And he said that he supposedly saw a Yeti during that trip, as well as many other occasions climbing mountains and stuff. He made many explorations to try to discover the Yeti, as well as he was a big advocate of people's proof of Yeti stuff.
If you look up like the Yeti and you'll find the footprint picture with the ice pick next to it, that actually comes from him.
Oh, okay.
He was the person that discovered the path up to the top of Mount Everest.
Okay.
Him and his team decided, instead of just looking on this one side of Mount Everest, to go to the other side, and they found I believe it's like a ridge all the way up. And while they were going up there, they found tracks of a Yeti, supposedly, and all this other stuff.
Interesting. Yeah, see, there's a lot of things that's like the topic of the Yeti is actually a very large topic.
Yeah,
like no puns at all intended. That it is super extensive and very detailed. So it's like there's so many things that are there's just a lot to cover.
And not a lot of it's fantastical.
No, but there's a lot of adventure in it when you get at the core of it. I don't know.
It's funny though that the Yeti is one of the most not well documented, but most scientifically documented cryptids there is.
Yeah, it is cool that they find samples that they believe belong to it. There's relics of it. There's religious history to it.
Right.
So even if there wasn't something today, there might have been something.
Right.
Or something that, these people believed was real.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, this one's a little bit closer to nowadays. In 2013, I'm hoping I did that right on there when I'm doing research, a researcher at Oxford named Brian Sykes ran a DNA test on several supposed Yeti hair samples and teeth.
And
I think it was a total of like 9 or something.
Yeah.
And most of them turned out to be just pretty much nothing but the local animals, cattle, goat, stuff like that, which, I mean, I imagine would be pretty disappointing when you're doing Yeti research.
Yeah.
And he found there was also some hair samples, and this caused a bit of excitement in the fact. First, they thought it was Yeti because it was unidentifiable, and then they thought it was...
I believe it went on like that for a couple of years.
Yeah, it went on like that for a couple of years where they couldn't figure out what it was, and then they believed it belonged to a prehistoric Paleo-age ice bear.
Yeah, I believe a researcher decided to take the sample and input it into a database that had prehistoric animals in it. I forget the name of the database. It's like Gene Bank or something.
See, that still has some excitement to it because here it is. Oh wow, we have proof of an ice age animal, or not proof, but we have samples of the ice age animal. But then another group of researchers took those same samples, only to find out that it belonged to the Himalayan brown bear.
Yep.
I also heard that it was only part of it was related to the Himalayan brown bear. Or blue bear.
Blue bear?
Yeah.
Buble?
Buble.
It's a Buble bear.
To go back in time a little bit more, there's a couple more. There's actually a supposed sighting by oh boy, I have to pronounce this. Slawomir Rosks claimed in his book The Long Walk, published in 1956, that as he and some others were crossing the Himalayas in the winter of 1940, their path was blocked for hours by two bipedal animals that were doing seemingly nothing but shuffling around in the snow. So I just guessing, I don't know, I'm picturing Snorlax in Pokemon.
I'm just picturing the equivalent of kicking a rock down the road.
They were just in a soccer game.
As well as in 1957, Tom Slick founded a few missions to investigate the Yeti reports. In 1959, supposed Yeti feces were collected by one of Slick's expeditions. Fecal analysis found a parasite which could not be classified. The United States government thought that the finding the Yeti was likely enough to create 3 rules for American expedition researching for it. Obtain a Nepalese permit.
Nepalese.
Do not harm the Yeti except in self-defense. And then let the Nepalese government approve any news reporting of the animal's discovery. In 1959, actor James Stewart, while visiting India, reportedly smuggled the so-called Pangbachi hand by concealing it in his luggage, where he flew from India to London. It continues to Sir Edmund Hillary's exploration, the Silver Hut expedition that is in 1960 to 1961.
That smuggling the hand is some Indiana Jones stuff right there.
What does the hand have to do? I didn't read this. Oh, this is the hand that supposedly had the Yeti stuff. The Yeti hand.
Yeah.
So this one, he just stole the whole hand.
Yeah. He's just like, it's mine now.
Did it say whole hand? I thought it said part.
It said the whole hand. Concealed in his luggage.
If somewhere in that story there isn't, he grabs that off the altar and like
a giant boulder rolls down and tries to smush him.
Or like just like Tomb Raider, the whole place starts to cave in, has to like platform across as like it caves into lava and stuff. If that didn't happen, I would be so sad.
But yeah, so there's a couple more things that happen in the 70s. There's one in 1970. British mountaineer John Williams claimed to have witnessed a creature when scaling Annapurna. He reported that he once saw it moving on all fours.
Okay.
He just says a thing.
Yeah, it could be Yeti.
It could be anything.
It could be Mothman.
And then before the 21st century, the last sighting was by conservationist Daniel C. Taylor and Himalayan natural historian Robert L. Fleming Jr. led a Yeti expedition into Nepal's Burn Valley. And the Taylor-Fleming expedition was also discovered similar Yeti-like footprints, humanoid appearing with both of a helix and bipedal gait, intriguing large nests in trees, and vivid reports from local villages of 2 bears, Rika Bala tree bears, small exclusive weighing about 150 pounds, and Biu Bala ground bears, aggressive, weighing up to 400 pounds. And they basically, that's about it. They did find a skull as well, but the skull was just of a bear. So
there's a lot of bear in this valley.
Yep, the Asiatic black bear.
Okay.
So yeah. There's a lot of bears in Asia.
There's a lot more than I thought there were.
So again, it's another sighting of people thinking they're seeing Yetis, and then the locals being like, nah, that's just a bear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The real Yeti's up there.
Throwing snowballs down at them.
Points ominously at mountain. Mountain like gets struck by lightning.
But yeah, there's a lot of sightings of this, and it's like it's consistently, kind of on the same thing. They go to certain regions and they're encountering this, and I don't know. It is one of those things you kind of got to wonder: is there something, or is it just, like I said, people freaking out over a bear?
I don't know. I think that's about it for the history.
Yeah, I think so.
Which leads into a good segue of our sponsor break.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
So we'll see you all on the other side, and then we'll discuss about our thoughts and feelings about the Yeti.
Yes, I love the Yeti. That's my major thought.
All right, well, see you all on the other side.
See ya.
See ya. And welcome back. Hope that ad spot was fun.
I tried taking a nap, but they won't let me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're the one that didn't let me.
Oh.
I'm not
Wolf
sorry.
told me to.
Well, Wolf's mean.
I want to take a nap too. I always want to take a nap.
I worked all day. It's tiring.
So, now that we're back, we've got a couple little odd blips here, some strange and fun facts to add to the Yeti.
Now you're sounding like Sheldon.
Huh?
Fun with flags. Don't turn my podcast into that.
I never thought I would ever hear you reference the Big Bang Theory.
I'm sorry. Every single time I go to visit my parents, that's what they're watching. So,
So, one thing with Nepal and Tibet, during, I don't remember what it's called, but when China occupied those regions, they pretty much shut down that whole place along with China to the Western world.
okay.
There were still people that were determined to go look for Bigfoot, and they would sneak into these...
The Yeti.
Big Yeti. Anyways, they would sneak into these places that are under military control just to hunt for the Yeti.
Nice.
And eventually it did get opened up, and when it did, then these countries took advantage. Well, not really even advantage, just kind of hopeful that Westerners would buy this, and they would do kind of a gimmick of you would have to have a government issued Yeti hunting license.
Okay.
Not like to hurt the Yeti or anything, but like to look for it. You had to have a license.
Huh.
Yep.
Nice. So it's like a hunting tag.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
I
Oh,
believe
that's
you
cool.
actually talked about the guidelines for hunting a Yeti.
That was actually under America's thing.
Yeah, you had to follow the Nepal
Yep.
guidelines for it.
Yeah.
Well, and that was one thing both, I believe, United States and Russia actually had, because they didn't know for sure at the time, like in the 50s and stuff, if this was real or not.
Yeah.
So we have things, and Russia has things of, well, if you are in this situation, this is what you do.
Yep.
And that was one of their things of basically Yeti safety.
Okay.
For
yeah.
travel. If you were on vacation and encounter a Yeti,
Right.
Do
yeah.
this.
do this.
Never mind.
All right. So, boom. Where is this Himalayan mountain path taking us now?
Oh, that's it? Thought you guys had more to talk about.
No, this is just a couple little odd things that I just had forgotten to mention
okay.
before.
So that's all the fun facts.
I'm sure
All the
there's
fun
a
facts.
million more, but I think it was just kind of cool how people were willing to brave getting shot to go hunt for the Yeti, and how there was basically Yeti hunting licenses.
I mean, it's not so weird to me. I mean, there's people that sneak into Area 51 every day.
There is. I mean, that is more terrifying.
Attempt.
You just think you could just get sniped.
Yeah, that's true.
They attempt.
I mean, I'm pretty sure the Chinese would also snipe you as well.
Oh,
But-
probably.
So anyways, so our next segment, or basically our last segment almost, is why in the world are we talking about the Yeti when in our Bigfoot series?
Because it's cold.
Well, besides where it's cold.
Because it's cold Bigfoot.
It's not cold Bigfoot per se. It does look like Bigfoot. It smells like Bigfoot. It might talk like
It
Bigfoot.
acts like Bigfoot.
It acts like Bigfoot, but it's not necessarily Bigfoot.
It's Bigfoot in the mountains.
I mean, Bigfoot lives in the mountains
Yeah.
already.
But what is supposed to be connecting the Bigfoot and the Yeti together is the wild men. And basically what wild men are is basically like first people.
Yeah, they're a primeval race.
They're a
basically.
primeval race that is supposed to live separate from humans in a way.
Right, but they have human-like qualities.
Yes, they have human-like qualities, but they're always known to be very furry, very hairy, long hair. They're usually depicted to be very large.
Yes.
They live all over the world, from Europe to the Chinese forest, Africa jungles, Americas, all of that stuff. They live everywhere, and there's tales of them all over the place, of people in India just walking into the woods and seeing wild men walking around and stuff like that.
Yep. Sorry, not to interject. It's just kind of a thing I just thought of on the spot. It's kind of like if you think about the effect of gorillas. Silverback gorilla was considered a wild man to the natives of the region for a long time.
Some of the tribes in the Amazon forest that are supposedly in there, but that we don't really know them, some of them are considered wild men as well.
Yep, from what locals and natives have described of some of them. Yep.
So the wild men is the supposable origin of Bigfoot and Yetis, because they are very hairy beings that have features like humans but aren't quite human.
Yep, and they live fairly simplistic, primitive life.
Yes.
Just scrounge off the land.
Yep. No technology to really be known of. They use very, very, very primitive tools, like clubs and stuff like that.
Yep.
They're known to be in basically every forest that you can imagine. Every woods, every jungle.
Which to me really, really confirms that there's something. Just in the fact of it's global.
Yeah. I mean, it's all over the place.
Yeah.
But there is a large centralization in Nepal, Tibet, India, Mongolia, and China.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what supposedly connects the Yeti and the Bigfoot together. It's one little strand, but it connects enough for us to do an episode on it.
Yep. And I mean, with this too, like with this segment, at some point we're probably just going to cover wild men specifically.
Probably,
I would
most
imagine.
likely.
So yeah.
All right, so now the fun part, the part I look forward to in every episode, because I don't have to read from notes. Speculation time. So, what do you guys think the Yeti is real? We'll start with Wolf, since he's currently yawning. I have to ruin everything he's doing.
You have to ruin all my yawning.
All your yawning.
Oh, I lost track. What are we talking?
That was quite the yawn, wasn't it?
When you interrupt someone yawning, they forget everything.
You're like a deer in the headlights.
Yes.
Do you think I was going to say Bigfoot. Do you think the Yeti is real?
Yes and no, and maybe so.
Okay. Do you think the Yeti is one singular being, or do you think it is a race of beings?
Yes and no.
You can't do this. Give me answers.
You can't handle the answers.
See, the thing is, Boom, he has all the answers to the Yeti. I know he does. He's seen things.
Fine, I'm done asking you questions.
Well, for the Yeti specifically, like we said before, like a lot of the artifacts, like the scalp, hands, and like pelts and stuff, whenever they taken DNA from it or DNA samples from it, it always came back as some kind of bear.
Yep.
I heard, and I didn't really find anyone else speculating this, but there was one place where I saw that they actually speculated that it was a cross between like a brown bear and actually like a polar bear.
Yep.
Up in the mountains.
That would be a jacked up bear.
Maybe
yes.
a really big bear.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and that's what this one researcher thought it could be, because I believe, like when we were talking about earlier, someone brought up the ancient DNA to the prehistoric bear.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that actually kind of traces back or traces forward to like the polar bear and stuff.
So you think the Yeti is just one really big bear?
Bears.
Bears. So you think they're
Plural.
plural? Okay. So that answers my questions. So you think
That
the Yeti,
or it's a Bigfoot?
you think it's just a snowy Bigfoot
Well, yeah.
that's probably very unhappy because he's somehow in snow.
Well,
Himalayas.
he'd always been there.
It's just Bigfoot grumpily sitting at the peak of a mountain with a stocking cap on.
A Bigfoot, not the Bigfoot.
You think there's a difference between the Bigfoot and a Bigfoot?
Well, yes, I think there's a difference between the American Bigfoot. There are probably multiple Bigfoots.
Okay.
And like the multiple Yetis because it's on the other side of the world.
Okay. Interesting.
He could just hop a plane and parachute out.
If a Bigfoot gets on a plane, I think we'd know he'd existed by now.
I don't know.
You don't know about those Spirit airline trips, so.
I mean,
Okay.
we go every day with overlooking unique people. So
That is true.
America's Got Talent Bigfoot edition.
Ramen Cat. I forgot your name for a second.
That's okay. I have the amnesia effect on people.
Do you think the Bigfoot exists?
I think it could be one of two things. I am very much on board with the thing of the bear because of the simple fact of the name translates back to man, bear, snow, man.
Yeah, I just looked down at the notes and saw
The
that.
people related it back to a bear. Also, again, like Wolf said, the samples have all been bear so far that they've found.
Mostly bear.
Mostly bear and other animals in between there.
Okay.
And also just in like some of their religious beliefs, I think as in Bhutan even, it's like all of their beliefs traced back to, they believed their origins came from a creature that was like a bear. And bears actually to them were related.
Okay.
Which is actually kind of interesting because it'd be neat to be able to say it's like, I am part bear.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
It could be too, also, going with the Wildman theory, a variant of snow ape because apes are adaptable creatures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, we only ever see them in tropical regions. It's not to say that a creature like that could not go to a mountain region, adapt. I mean, in Japan, there's a species of ape that, or it's either ape or monkey. They live in the snowy regions of the mountains, and just to keep warm, they hang out in hot springs.
Oh, that's cool.
You also got to think if it's a type of monkey that's up in like the Himalayan mountains, the population can't be huge like it is in like tropical areas.
Right.
Because if it was so big, many of them would just die.
Right.
out.
Yeah, it's true.
And if it is wild men, they would know too in this fact of it's like they're so, stories are so inundated into the populace that if it was wild men, they would know a native to the mountains and stuff and not be so shy around them as they would be to an outsider.
True. Yeah.
You know, just like anything, you're not going to be out there like, hey, here I am to something you don't know.
Right.
And here comes these humans poking around where they don't normally poke around.
And most likely Nepal wouldn't have a Yeti hunting license out then.
No, and they revered them and respected them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think it could be either way, to be perfectly honest. I don't think that there isn't anything. I think there is something there to say what I can't be fully for sure. But if Yeti proves to be a variant of bear, I want those unique breeds of bear that are only in that area to be renamed Yeti bears.
Yeah.
Yep.
So how about you?
Well, I don't have college theses on what I believe, but I think the Yeti exists.
Okay.
I'm not quite sure if it's just a bear or if it's a wildman, but I know there's something up in the mountains because there's too many people that say there's something that aren't rich, aren't famous, off of saying that it's real.
Yeah.
That, I don't know, there's truth behind it.
I mean, my goodness, it goes all the way back to Romans wanting to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like to think that there's one in that it's like a cryptid, like the Dogman, where like it's a super paranormal type creature that just wanders the mountains.
That would be awesome if it was.
Right. That's kind of what I want to believe. So
Yeah.
but yeah, that's my thoughts on it.
Okay.
Next question. What do you guys? Well, actually, no. You guys already gave that question because you just spouted off college theses.
It wasn't college thesis. This is just our opinions.
I know. I was joking. It's called humor. We have to let the audience laugh.
I don't know humor. I'm a wolf.
Just that deadpan stare he gave you with that.
He's not even looking at me. He's looking at the TV. I can click through all these windows and stuff, and he's just looking at them all move. Whoops, that's the wrong channel.
Just wait for when he attacks the mouse on the screen.
All right, so yeah, so I guess that kind of real quick. You guys already did it a little bit, but speculation on the Yeti. Do you guys think it is a paranormal creature, or like what do you guys lean towards more?
Supernatural.
Like, what do you mean supernatural?
More than just natural.
Okay.
So like a natural up to the super.
Okay.
Like a ape in the mountains.
Okay. What about you, Ramcat?
I think it would be more in the cryptozoological and the fact of I think it would be something once if we fully discover it will probably be something natural.
So you think it is a new species?
I think it's a very old species that we don't know much about.
An undiscovered species.
Yeah. That is not to take away from the fact that they, from everything of local legends and stuff, and I mean, I keep referring back to it, this will be something where our listeners can look into it themselves on it because it's so extensive. These creatures were very benevolent.
Okay.
As you said, the Deltov Pass is the only supposed attack, and that's not even connected to the Himalayas.
The only reason that supposedly a Yeti is because a lot of the bodies were
Beaten.
They had bruises and they had fractures that could only be caused by excessive force. Like we're talking like a kick from a horse's back legs.
Right, and stuff like that, external stuff, I guess, out of the area of Yeti, it's not like there isn't stories of wild men attacking people.
Oh, there's a bunch of them.
Yeah, there's tons of them. So it's like, I just think this particular kind, maybe due to their benevolence, is due to kindness of the native people.
Well, it could also be due to lack of resources, and also there's something about the cold that just calms people down.
Yeah,
there is. Like if you're in a jungle, things are trying to kill you all the time, and in the winter in the mountains, the only thing that's really trying to kill you is nature itself.
Right. So I think, in the long run of it, I think they are probably a intelligent, just undiscovered species or undiscovered race.
Okay, cool.
Which, I mean, my goodness, we're getting to the point now where we're finally realizing it's unethical to kill an octopus because it's got the intelligence of an 8-year-old child.
Yeah. It punches fish.
It punches fish. They're grateful for being helped.
Did you know that they hunt with fish and sometimes they'll just punch them to keep them in line?
That's kind of funny.
Yeah,
that is just funny.
They also carry around half of coconuts to use as a portable panic room.
House?
Not house, panic room.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah, that's my take on what they could be.
Okay, cool. I think it is of course, a paranormal thing.
Okay.
So yeah.
What do you mean by paranormal?
Just that it is something that is of this world, but is beyond what is our status quo at the moment.
So not like a ghost or something,
Not
or
like
spirit.
a ghost and a spirit is supernatural.
Like
that
it's
is
long.
beyond
No,
natural.
that's paranormal. Supernatural is the normal up to something that's more spectacular or super. Paranormal is something that's weird from the normal.
So I'm guessing on your thing then, Boom, probably like long-lived creature, like
Yeah.
unnaturally
Yeah.
long-lived.
That's what I meant when I said supernatural.
Oh,
Probably.
I guess our definitions of supernatural and paranormal are flip-flopped.
Yeah.
I should actually look up the definition
I'm
of
doing it
paranormal and
now.
supernatural.
I'll get back
That'll
to
be
you.
something for another time.
When we actually explain what the heck our podcast is doing on episode 56. Hope you guys make it that far.
Hope we make it that far.
Oh, we will.
All right, so I guess they get what I'm saying, though. It's something that is not of the status quo at the moment, but is something that is within the realm of physics,
Yeah.
of biology and stuff. Something
so-
that is very
so-
possible, but is not yet normalized.
Right. Something that could have control over its
Yeah, which
environment.
I would personally consider that, I guess, paranormal, but that's just me. I don't know.
Okay, so
I think paranormal is like aliens, cryptids.
Yeah.
You want me to read off the descriptions of them?
Sure, for the first time ever on a paranormal podcast.
So I'm going to start with supernatural.
Okay.
This is the adjective of a manifestation or event attributed to some force beyond scientific understanding or the laws of nature, a supernatural being. The noun is manifest. That's the same thing. Oh, wait, such as ghost.
Okay, so yeah,
Okay.
supernatural is related to ghosts. Paranormal.
Adjective denoting events or phenomenon such as telekinesis or clairvoyance that are beyond the scope of normal scientific understanding.
Right, so I guess a Yeti, my definition of a
we're-
Yeti would be, we're very close to the same thing.
I think we need a different one.
I think we do need a different one. I guess that's what cryptozoology exists for.
Yeah.
I guess because it's just that
Cryptid.
it's that thing of what if.
Yeah, it's something that doesn't exist yet, but supposedly does.
Right.
Or does exist, but is not proven.
Which, if you think about it, with cryptozoology, a lot of animals have fallen into that category, only to be discovered to be real.
Right. Like the weird zebra thingy.
Yeah, and I
The
think
zebra
that's
horse.
a copy or something like
I
that.
don't know what it's called. I just know it looks like a donkey and has stripes.
Yeah, and it used to be called the jungle unicorn.
But
I don't know
it
where
from
it-
Australia?
No,
Oh.
it's an African animal.
Is it?
But-
There's jungles in Africa.
So
There's
yeah,
a lot of jungles in Africa.
most
Or a large section of jungle, like the Congo. The Congo's jungle.
Oh, the Congo. Oh, I'm really bad at geography.
That's fine.
No, it's
It's
not.
always good to learn.
always good to learn.
So the Congo is in Africa.
Yep.
Where did I think the Congo was?
I don't know.
I forget that the Africa is like a half of the world.
yeah.
It's one of those places. If we ever cover dinosaurs, that's where we'll be going.
Africa?
Africa.
I don't want to go to Africa.
Well,
we're
we're in
going.
Africa
There's
right
too many
now.
spiders that will kill me.
There's actually legends of giant spiders there too.
Oh heck no!
Legends.
There are legends of and supposed encounters with giant.
I already
spiders.
have Australia off my list.
I
can't-
just seen a video of a spider that's probably 2 foot around just up in the corner of some person's room.
Well, these are like about 5 foot round spiders.
Is it in Australia?
I don't know where this
'Cause
was, but I'm guessing it's in that
Like
part of the world.
self quarantine myself from Australia. I'm not allowed to go there.
Yeah,
Well-
I don't want to go to Australia or Brazil.
We'll save spiders for a different time.
Spiders are terrifying.
You don't
Spiders are a problem here and now that we need to
have to.
solve.
You don't have to worry about them. We are up in the mountains, chilling out with the Yeti. It's too
Yeah.
cold for spiders.
We can stay here.
I'm going to the Himalayas. Then. I don't
Go to
mind the cold.
Siberia.
I'm gonna become a monk.
If I thought I could even survive 5 minutes in the Himalayan mountains and not freeze to death like a popsicle,
Monks do it.
I'm not a monk.
Become a monk.
Do you think monks can do podcasts?
Do you want me
Probably.
to look it up?
No.
That would be awesome to go to a place and actually talk to them and get in person.
We could call it
stories.
Monkcast.
Monkcast.
Guys, let's go.
I'm pretty sure some monks have been on podcasts.
I'm
Oh,
sure
yeah.
they have. Because, actually, I know of a monk that's been on a podcast.
Who?
His name is Giguk.
What?
Yeah, Giguk, the anime guy, he's a monk.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Huh. Is he like active monk or was a previous monk?
What's the is it Thai? Thai, right?
I don't know anything
Taiwanese,
about
I believe it would be.
I think it is. Anyways, a lot of times they will do a expedition it's an expedition to become a monk for a couple months.
Okay. Oh yeah, pilgrimage.
Yeah, a pilgrimage. That's the word for it. To become a monk for a couple months.
Yep, that's actually very prominent in the Buddhist practice.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's also some people that'll be like monks for a couple years and then just kind of.
I think he did it for like 2 months, but it was when he was a kid. And yeah, it was right before he started YouTube. So
okay. Yeah, and I mean, I guess just kind of round it back to that. It's like there's a lot of people that for pilgrimages travel to places like Tibet and stuff.
Yeah.
For that.
Yeah.
Because what else to do when it's cold out than just get spiritual?
I guess.
Yeah. Get spiritual, make friends with Yetis.
Spiritual Yetis.
Yeah.
Live, love, laugh, Yetis.
I'm making that a shirt now.
I'm pretty sure it is one. But
Live,
if it isn't,
love, Yetis.
Live, love Yetis. There you go.
Nice.
If we've learned anything from tonight's
live
session.
Yeti. Never mind.
So
that sounds
so
weird.
we've decided when we finally make merch, one of our shirts is going to be Live, Love, Laugh, Yetis.
Yep.
Yes.
Nice.
If it's not copyrighted.
I'll make it uncopyrighted.
Uncopyrighted.
We'll just send a Yeti to represent us.
They'll listen to us at that point.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that ends the show for today.
We definitely
do
made
think
up that
so.
extra 10 minutes.
Yes, we totally pulled something out of our rear ends to get us there.
All right. Well, boom. This is the technical garble that I don't know because I only do this once every other week.
And this is my life.
And this is your life. You summon me here for a particular
Sign us
time.
out.
Yeah. So, if you guys like the podcast, please share it with your friends, your family members, your bosses. I don't care. Just say it to somebody. Also, if you really, really like the podcast, if you wouldn't mind giving us a review on iTunes, that would be great. Also, if you are interested in listening to this anywhere else, you can find it anywhere else. Absolutely anywhere else. If there's a place that it isn't on, well, you can just tell me and I'll put it on there.
Are you telling me we've conquested the internet and we are in all corners of the internet?
Basically.
Dare I say, I make it a challenge to find the podcast somewhere else.
Oh, it's pretty easy too, because I know where it's not on one spot. But
Go forth, our minions, and spread the podcast.
So yeah, give us a review, tell a friend. You can also go to our YouTube channel, which is Look Behind You, and you can give us a like, you can give us a subscription, and you can leave us a comment with your what do you like better, Yeti or Bigfoot?
Yeti.
That's a hard question.
Because Bigfoot kidnaps people while they're on vacation after a long work year.
Oof. And yeah,
Bigfoot.
you can also follow us on Twitter at BehindYouPod, and you can also comment on that if you want. What is your favorite, Bigfoot or Yeti?
Sounds good.
I don't know. I just came up with a random question.
Yeah.
To try to get people to say something to us.
We usually ask a random question.
Yeah. It's better than saying, give us pickle emojis.
I'm still waiting.
And some say, to this day, he is still waiting.
Well, I am.
For anyone that's wondering what that random tidbit is a long time ago.
I think you have to listen to episode 3.
We just
Dartmoor episode.
We just referenced it like 2 episodes ago.
Well, yeah, but I think the original was Dartmoor.
It was the first one, Dogman.
It was back when we were in the dungeon.
Yeah, we just at random wanted to get pickle emojis for Wolf. He likes pickles.
I haven't got pickles yet. We also haven't got cookies yet.
That's true. And yeah, with that, I think that is everything. Thank you for listening. And yeah, I'll let Ramen Cat sign us off.
Panic attack.
Okay. I tried so hard.
I will learn.
All right. Well, this has been Look Behind You. I have been Sir Boom. I have been with Wolf.
Yes, you have.
And I have also been with Ramen Cat.
This has been a great episode to do.
Awesome. And we'll say bye now.
All right. Good night, everybody.
He's forcing me to say bye.
Say bye.
Bye.
And remember, look behind you because you'll never know what you see. See ya.